Hello, delaPlex. I think students are joining, so we can start within two. So let them join.
Sir, we can tell us to make it live so that everyone can.
Hello. Hello, delaPlex. I think students are joining, so we can start within two. So let them join.
Sir, we can tell us to make it live so that everyone can.
Hello. Hello, delaPlex. I think students are joining, so we can start within two.
Sir, we can tell us to make it live so that
Hello. Hello, delaPlex. I think students are joining, so we can start within two. Hello. Hello, delaPlex. I think students are joining, so we can start within two. Hello. Hello, delaPlex. I think students are joining, so we can start within two. Hello. Hello, delaPlex. I think students are joining, so we can start within two.
Dr. Rizwan is also an independent consultant with various law enforcement and cyber defense roles. He was awarded an IT Technology Review Award 2008, a Microsoft Experience in IT Technology, and more than 10,000 developers IT professionals worldwide. He was also included in Malware WHO Award 2000 considering his contribution and achieving reward he was awarded the IS with various law enforcement 100 Future IS 2017 award was awarded at more than 5,000 IT technology managers in India. He has been awarded as most key innovator in 100 CIOs or CTOs of people. He was also dropped on CIO or CTOs across the year 2000. He has been recently awarded as CTO of the Year at Nagpur Leadership Award 2000. He was awarded the award for Rizwan and 100 Future to share his experiences and award was on more than 5,000 IT technology managers in India. He has been awarded as most key innovator in 100 CIOs or CTOs of people. He was also dropped on CIO or CTOs across the year 2000. He has been recently
all for joining.
Leadership Award 2000. He was awarded I want to be very proud of and his initial share his experiences and his work by 5,000 IT technology managers in India. He has been awarded as mostly innovative managed CIOs or CTOs by 4,000. He was also dropped by
All for joining.
Leadership Award 2000. He was awarded I want to be very proud and his initial share his experiences and his work by 5,000 IT technology managers in India. He has been awarded as mostly innovative managed CIOs or CTOs by 4,000. He was also dropped by
All for joining.
I want to be very proud.
Mobile forensics. I wanted to tell people what this concept is, because a lot of people around that time were not knowing, right, in terms of what mobile forensics entails. So in this mobile forensics collectivity. I wanted to tell people what this concept is, because a lot of people around that time were not knowing, right, in terms of what mobile forensics entails. So feedback in the chat window so that I can know everyone is able to follow along, and I could maybe make it interactive as much as possible. So a lot of you might be thinking, in a way, why practice of mobile forensics is important. So this is the question a lot of you might be having when you are joining this webinar. Again, what does the field of mobile forensics entails? In a way, what things we need to do when we do mobile forensics, and at the same time, what is the current state in terms of where mobile forensics is and where the field is going, and more importantly, what kind of tools which we use, right, in terms of open source and paid tools when we do mobile forensics. So a lot of these questions you might be having, so I'll try to very well cover most of these answers during my session today. So before we go into the specifics, it's very, very important that we all should understand what is digital evidence. So you all know, right, we are seeing a lot of security attacks. Everywhere we are having cyber crimes happening. And that's where the challenge is, wherein if you need to prosecute somebody in court of law, we should understand the definition of digital evidence. In a way, what can be used as evidence in court of law so that somebody could be prosecuted in court of law, and at the same time the person could be appropriately punished. So according to SWGD, digital evidence in the simplest format is any information which is of probative value that is stored or transmitted in binary form. So as you all know, any digital device what we use, all the information is stored in zeros and ones. At the same time, most of these devices either store the information or they transmit the information, and anything which is going to be useful in terms of evidence which can be used against the criminal could be called as digital evidence. So it's a very wide definition. So some of the examples of digital evidence could be maybe a variety of digital devices have different types of digital evidence. So one example could be I have a hacking incident involving a computer, and maybe there is an intrusion. So I can look at all the logs, operating system logs, maybe there could be certain network devices, right, and things like that. So they might contain a lot of digital evidence which could be used for solving that crime. So here are some of the other examples. So threatening emails, all of you know this is very common. This could be emails, SMS messages. A lot of you might not know, right? Some of the times these emails are spoofed in a way. You'll receive a threatening email, but the sender which is shown in the email, right, is not the original sender wherein you are spoofing it. So that is one example which all the cyber criminals all the time do, so that they can get certain benefit out of that. Again, another example could be documents. So, like whenever we work in professional environment, there is a lot of confidential data stored in the documents. So at times, certain people are not supposed to actually access certain documents, or they should not have a copy of that because it's an intellectual property of the relevant company or a relevant person. But what people do is they take this information and they try to collect this information and maybe resell it in the underground market, which is called as dark net or dark web. I hope some of you must have already heard about this term, wherein it's an underground network of all cyber criminals, wherein they try to collaborate between each other, and maybe that's a marketplace which is beyond boundaries, wherein you can have cyber criminals coming in together from various countries instead of their geographies which are out there. So that is another example. Suicide notes. This is again something which is predominantly happening these days. You all know, right, what is happening in Sushant Singh Rajput's case, wherein people think it's a suicide. There were no notes recovered, right? But some people are trying to prove that, okay, it's not a suicide, wherein it could be a murder. So a lot of digital evidence is generated when we look into cases like this, especially from the mobile devices, as we are seeing mostly in the relevant case as well, wherein a lot of people are coming into the net of investigating agencies, right, when they're looking at the WhatsApp chat messages, SMS, and things like that. So there could be various more categories like bomb making diagrams, which is mostly used by terrorists. So if you confiscate laptops and digital devices, right, you try to look at anything which could be used by terrorists. Another important thing is malicious software. There are various categories like viruses, worms, Trojan horses, right, spear phishing attacks. All these involve some kind of malicious software. So this is again an example of digital evidence, so that we can look at how the attack was carried out, who carried it out, and maybe when it happened, how it happened, where it happened, right, and things like that. So that all comes under that malicious software category. Again, other examples could be child pornography, wherein we have strict laws throughout the world, including India. This is again a big problem, and a lot of people are trying to come up with legislation as much as possible. Even I was part of an advisory committee to Government of India, right, wherein we suggested certain recommendation in a way how we should prevent child pornography, because this is becoming a big problem. Again, we use a lot of network devices, as I said earlier. So any network device which is transmitting or maybe storing any information, right, it could contain a lot of different digital evidence. And a lot of us don't know, right, whenever we are sending information through such devices, using certain techniques, we can recreate the original data which was sent from one system to other system, or maybe it was sent from one person to the other person. And that's what at times, in a way, if you don't have proper security mechanisms in place, these hackers try to manipulate, and they try to collect that data. So again, you use to find out, right, what was compromised. More importantly, cell phone SMS messages. This is something again which is very prevalently used. Another example could be maybe WhatsApp messages and things like that, wherein there could be a threatening message or maybe some information exchange, right, which could prove in a way what transpired in a group setup, and maybe that could be used to prove somebody that, okay, they have carried out something which is not appropriate, right? So there are variety of examples of digital evidences out there. Here is just a simple list to maybe give some examples. Again, in a way, before we move into mobile forensics, we need to understand what digital forensics is, because digital forensics is the primary branch using which we try to carry out our investigations. So in the simplest form, digital forensics involves all the tools and various techniques which are used for recovering, preserving, and examining the digital evidence, or more importantly, looking at how this evidence was transmitted by digital devices. So in this screen, you will see some old traditional devices. Some of you might not have even used some of these devices. So that includes a floppy drive. This is something when I was a CS student way back, almost 20 years back, this was our storage device, and there were a lot of challenges which were involved. Hard drive, CD drive, right? A lot of you might not have used this. Maybe pen drive is something which you use, but all the digital devices which are there, they kind of store some information or they transmit some information. And since this is happening, you could find a lot of digital evidence, and you can carry out digital forensic investigation. So couple of examples. So if you have a printer, so even if you give a printout, it's possible to find out what was printed using printer spooler in a way on a particular printer. Same is for the copier. All the modern copiers have mechanism wherein they create digital images, and then the copier is creating copies of that. So again, you can do investigation on that. Same is for game playing, game console devices, GPS. I can go on. And more importantly, as part of this talk, we'll talk about smartphones and PDAs and things like that. Again, a lot of you might be thinking, why digital forensics, right? So important thing is, a lot of us think that, okay, if there is a file which was on my computer or a mobile phone, if I delete that, that file is gone. A lot of you maybe always use option wherein on your Windows operating system, you simply say shift delete, right? And you think that, okay, the file is gone completely from your computer. That's not the case. Using digital forensic techniques, we can very well uncover such deleted files. Even it is possible that in most cases, that even if your hard drive is burnt, or maybe your cell phone is burnt, you can still cover up a lot of evidence which is there when you're doing those anti-forensic techniques. But there's still digital forensic techniques available using which you can still find a lot of evidence from such devices as well. So in summary, we feel that the data is gone, the evidence is gone, but that's not always the case. So here are some facts in a way why we should be doing digital forensics. So I'm showing a photograph on the screen. If you know the person who is in this photo, I'm requesting you to type that in the chat window, right? So if I need to give you a hint, he's called as Sherlock Holmes of France. Okay, that's the first hint, and he's a very famous person related to modern criminology. Here is another photo of him, wherein he's part of police department, French police department. So if you know the answer, please type it and get the bragging rights. So in interest of time, I'm just moving forward. So the person's name is called is Edmund Lockhart. So he's also called as Sherlock Holmes of France. And he came up with a very, very important principle in modern criminology. So what he said is, every contact by criminal leaves behind a trace, irrespective of whether it is a physical crime or a digital crime. Even the smartest of the smartest criminal leave behind some kind of trace, and that is why we can use digital forensic techniques to find out digital evidence and prosecute that person in the court of law. So as I said, deleted files are not securely deleted in most cases. It's always possible to recover the deleted files, even if they might be deleted, right, from your recycle bin or from your phone. Again, in old techniques, a lot of people used to rename the file so that the detection could not happen, right? So a lot of people, to hide information, right? So it's a doc file, they used to rename it as a zip file. But there are tools available using which you can find out what's the original file hidden inside some another type of file extension. A lot of you must be thinking, right? If you format your hard drive or you format your phone, the data on that phone is gone, it's deleted and cannot be recovered. So we are very, very ignorant at times. A lot of people, when they buy new phones, they exchange their old phones, right, while buying the new phones. And what they end up doing is a lot of personal information which is available on the old phones could be even easily recovered by cyber criminals or maybe digital forensic investigators, which could be harmful or maybe which could be misused against you. So there's something again we may need to remember. Again, most of us these days use a lot of web-based applications, including emails. So when we access these email systems from our computer or mobile devices, either using the app or the browser, a lot of the data is stored either in your primary memory or your browser cache. And that information can be still useful to recover what kind of information was downloaded, what kind of information was sent while using those emails, or at the same time any other kind of apps what we're using. Again, as I said earlier, file transferred over networks can be reassembled and used as evidence. This is something which is not known to everyone, but there are techniques using which, unless you have proper security mechanisms in place, people can easily reassemble all the data which is sent, right, as an evidence. Again, a lot of you think that I install an application on my computer or maybe on my mobile phone, and if I simply uninstall that application, whatever data those applications had could be maybe simply gone, right, and it cannot be recovered. So one example is, a lot of you might be noticing this, right, that you're using WhatsApp. So you delete WhatsApp, but in future again you reinstall WhatsApp. So automatically WhatsApp prompts to you that you already have some existing data of WhatsApp. Do you want to use that data? So that is just one example. So in this case, WhatsApp is prompting, but in most cases the data is hidden, and only forensic investigators and digital investigators know where to find that data and how to find that data. Again, more importantly, there is a lot of volatile data, which is part of your primary memory, RAM memory, and using which you can find out a lot of information like variety of passwords. And a lot of time this is something which is predominantly used during the investigation processes as forensic investigators, so that you can recreate some of the crimes, you can get access to some of the accounts and things like that. Again, some of the applications what we used in past, they also keep a lot of remnant information which could be of a lot of importance to us. So people kind of sometimes ignore this fact, but as an investigator, you can find out a lot of remnant data from some of the old applications which were used. A lot of you think that if I have my data encrypted on a hard drive or my phone, it's going to be difficult to collect that evidence. So let me tell you all, there are tools available using which any encryption which is out there could be decrypted. It is a matter of maybe few milliseconds, few days, but most of the encryption algorithms which are out there can be easily decrypted. Some of these tools are also available in free trial mode, wherein you can go and use them without paying as well. So this is something people even forget. So it's very, very difficult to get rid of or your data or protect the data. And that's where like maybe some of the criminals use a lot of anti-forensic techniques, which are also called as privacy enhancing techniques if you're doing it or using it for something good. Again, most of these anti-forensic techniques are broken at times. So it might work on one particular version of operating system, but that doesn't work for maybe the future version which is just launched. So we need to keep on maybe playing the game of catch up all the time. So we need to remember that maybe criminals are trying to hide their crimes, but at the same time, as an investigator, you should try to uncover what they're trying to hide. So another example is a lot of you must have seen in movies, right? When a hacker is about to get caught, right? They remove their hard drives and maybe either put them in a microwave, or a big magnet is there using which they try to maybe wipe out the evidence which is there. Even in that case, a lot of evidence still can be uncovered from such devices. Even in case of modern hard drives like SSD drives, it becomes even more difficult to maybe get rid of data which is there on such hard drives. And as I said earlier, even if you try to burn your hard drives or maybe your SD cards, there is still ways using which, unless and until it is completely burnt, you can still find out the evidence which is there. And that's what is called as media mutilation, right? Wherein you try to maybe do it in a way, right, that you are trying to hide the data or maybe overwrite the data multiple times so that it is impossible to collect that evidence. So in summary, the basic enabler for people like you and me, right? If you want to carry out digital forensic investigation, data is very hard to kill. Data is very hard to maybe hide. Data is very hard to get rid of. And using this premise, we all can carry out digital forensics investigation. So in essence, at high level, digital forensics involves certain specific steps like when, what, who, where, how, and why. So in when we are trying to carry out an investigation, our thought process is at what specific time interval that crime was carried out so that we can recreate the actual crime, right? So we need to give a timeline, right, in a way when the attack started and when the attack ended, right, and what happened in between. So that is what is when. Once when is answered, we get into what. In a way, what activities were carried out by the cyber criminal on that computer system or a mobile phone so that we know what exactly was done. Third answer we try to find out is who. In a way, who carried out that cyber crime. So that is again very, very important. Based on knowing when, what, who, we try to find out where, right? In a way, where the evidence is located. So example could be if it is a network-based crime, right? It could be on a network devices, it could be on your servers, it could be on your computers. If it is a mobile-based crime, it could be on your mobile phone. Again, in mobile phone, it could be at a particular location, right? In a way, your primary memory, right? Or a particular location of your app and things like that. Once we know when, what, who, where, we try to find out how, in a way, how different crimes were carried out, how the activity was performed. And ultimately, to prove that crime has happened, we need to answer why. In a way, what was the specific motive when that crime was carried out? Because for every crime to be carried out, there is a specific motive. And finding that why is very, very important. In most cases, these cyber crimes are very, very organized. So people have financial motives in most cases, but at times I'm finding, right, in maybe 30% of the cases, right, it could be enormity maybe in terms of different set of people. There is some kind of differences and things like that, and they are also carrying out some kind of attacks, right, so that they can take some kind of revenge. So that is also prevalently happening in most of the cases as I'm seeing. So again, digital forensics is a very, very multidisciplinary field wherein it involves a combination of three broad fields. So it's going to involve computer technology for sure. So that involves variety of things, right? You should understand how the encryption works, how variety of algorithms work, how your file system works, how your operating system works, and things like that. At the same time, as an investigator, you should know various hacks and investigative techniques so that you can carry out your investigation quickly. At the same time, you need to think more like Sherlock Holmes, right? In a way where the evidence is what you are trying to look at. And more importantly, you should also understand law, because whatever evidence you are trying to collect, that should be admissible under court of law. So it's combination of science and engineering, at the same time art and expertise. So as you do more and more investigations, you become more and more expert. And that's why you need to understand these multidisciplinary areas so that you can become a better expert. Again, it's very, very important these days that whatever crimes are happening, whether they're physical crimes, a lot of digital devices are involved. And that's when even all our investigation agencies, they're trying to collect a lot of evidence, right? In a way, in the traditional crime, we used to only collect weapons, fingerprints, blood, DNA samples, and things like that, right? But in case of even physical crimes, what these days is happening is law enforcement agencies, they are collecting digital devices like hard drives, computers, more importantly, mobile phones, right? As we are seeing in most of the some high profile cases, right? Example could be Sushant Singh Rajput's case, wherein any close contact he has, right? Their mobile phones are being investigated and things like that. So in the traditional crime, only traditional evidences were collected. But now in the modern crimes, apart from collecting physical evidence, we are trying to collect more and more digital evidence so that digital forensics can be carried out, right? And we can do investigation in a better way. And that's where it's important that we are not just dealing with crimes, we're looking at a lot of investigations when we are trying to do the forensics, be it physical forensics or digital forensics. So again, there are various branches of digital forensics, computer forensics, live forensics, multimedia forensics, network forensics, more importantly, mobile forensics. That is what I'm going to cover in today's talk. So I would request all of you to look for all these areas. All of them are having like a lot of active research going on. And there are a lot of commercial companies, right, who are out there who are looking for forensic investigators who have experience in most of these areas. And in country like India, right, since the cyber crimes are increasing day by day, there is need for cybersecurity as well as digital forensic experts, and there is shortfall of close to more than 2 lakh people, and there are not many people who can take this job. So my request to all the students who are attending this session, right, try to look seriously at cybersecurity as well as mobile forensics, digital forensics as a career for you. And there are a lot of good opportunities available in India and outside India. And at times they are like very, very high paying jobs, so that you have that fulfillment which is needed at times for this next generation, which is out of college. Now, slowly moving into mobile forensics. So if you look at mobile phones, this is more like a digital twin for us. In a way, whatever we do in our physical life, right, that has transformed into a personal device for us in a mobile phone, right? So mobile phone has contact information of all our friends, maybe office associates, everyone. Apart from that, we also have a lot of personal information wherein we at times store our health information, at the same time financial information when we use banking apps, right, and things like that from the mobile phone. So it's basically a mobile phone is knowing a lot of things about you, which no other digital device would know. So one example is wherever you go, you carry your phone, right? And in most cases, it's easily able to find out the location of the person from his mobile phone. Even if you have turned off your GPS using the cell service provider, you should be able to find out the location using cell triangularization. So there is a lot of personal information being stored knowingly or unknowingly on mobile phones. And most of the executives like me also have a lot of our official data available on mobile phones. So that also creates another challenge, right? So if I lose my mobile phone, all the company confidential information can also be compromised. So that's why it is very, very important that we understand the field of mobile forensics. At the same time, we understand what's the importance of securing our mobile phones are. And there are a lot of scary videos available online wherein it's advised that you should not even have your phone away from you for more than 10-15 seconds. So if you give me your phone, within 15 seconds, I can maybe do something or install something on your phone using which I can easily track what you're doing. Or I can send a message to you on WhatsApp, right? It looks like a normal PDF file or a normal website, right? And you go and click on that URL and automatically maybe in the background a malware gets installed on your phone, and a lot of your activities can be tracked remotely, including knowing your passwords, what applications you're using, how much time you're using, again, what data you are sending and things like that. Again, there is a new term, which is what makes it mobile forensics very, very important is there is a fear called as nomophobia. So, I mean, if I ask this new generation, right, how long you can be away from your phone? So most of the answers what I hear all the time is less than 5 minutes. So what I've seen people is from the time you wake up till the time you sleep, your phone is just next to you. and you do everything using the phone. So every day, everyone is trying to use cell phone, irrespective of their sleeping, because it's an alarm for you in most cases, while you're eating, while you're working, right? So that's why people are so used to mobile phones, right, that we cannot stay away from them. This is again becoming a big problem. At the same time, these mobile phones over a period of time have become more and more powerful. So in this slide, you can see in 1980, a mobile phone or a cellular phone used to look like this. It was a simple communication device. You can call like a telephone from this mobile phone. Only advantage was it was wireless. Then you had certain bulky phones which came in. These are some of the early phones which came in around, I would say, 1990s and around that time. And look at our modern smartphones, which basically have smaller size, they're lighter. At the same time, they have a processing powers at times even faster than on your computer and laptops. At the same time, they could be a lot cheaper. So if I go back and look back, right, these mobile phones were at least 5 times costlier and having less features as compared to the modern mobile phones what we have. Again, these phones consume less power. And at the same time, the functionality of these mobile phones is increasing day by day. So with any technology where you have a lot of advantages, at times there are disadvantages as well. And cyber criminals who are out there, they're trying to misuse these devices to carry out a lot of cyber crimes, which is something very, very important from the perspective of doing mobile forensics. So as you can see, right, these were the old devices which we used to use in past. So all these devices, right, a lot of you might not have even seen some of these devices. So I remember my childhood, right, we used to have a cassette player like this, maybe your MP3 player and things like that. So all the devices what you see in the screen have converged into a mobile phone, wherein you can basically do everything all those 50 plus devices could do in past. So there is convergence of computers, laptops, right, and maybe all personal stuff in a single device, which is a mobile phone here. And that's what makes these devices so personal to us, having a lot of information about us. And that's what even makes them more vulnerable in a way, how this could impact us. Maybe I have an example here, right? Who is the owner of Amazon? All of you know him. Who is the owner of Amazon? Does anyone know the owner of Amazon? If you know the answer, please type it in the chat. Okay, so his cell phone was hacked recently. Do you guys know that his cell phone was hacked? Jeff Bezos' cell phone was hacked. So the richest man on the earth, right? His phone was hacked. Okay. So you can imagine, right? If somebody like Jeff Bezos, who is the richest man on earth, his phone can be hacked. So somebody like you and me, right? How easy it is to hack our phones. So there are a lot of techniques which come into picture when we go into forensic examination of devices. So before we do any examination, right, as an investigator, we need to look at different aspects. So first aspect is we need to always look at what we are trying to look, right? So when we have collected the evidence, so what kind of evidence we are trying to collect from that mobile phone? That is the first question we need to ask as an investigator. Again, most of the crimes involve some, right, and that we need to look at that motive, and based on that we should try to collect the evidence. Again, more importantly, this is more applicable to mobile devices. Most of these criminals do these crimes not while they are at their home, and since mobile device is having advantage that you can take that device anywhere in the world, carry out the crime, right, and maybe move away from that place. So that gives the flexibility to criminals. So again, you may need to think through the location aspect in a way where the crime was carried out, and we should be able to recreate the location stuff. Again, in most countries, whenever accidents happen, they ask mobile phones to be seized so that they can look at, right, in a way, a lot of evidence which could be useful for that accident in most cases. So more ultimately, these mobile phones are goldmine of information, as I earlier said, and they also present a unique challenge wherein with a new version of operating system which is launched on a mobile phone, which generally happens in 6 months, it creates even more difficult, right, for forensic investigators like me to maybe find out new ways and means so that the evidence can be collected, which is unlike computer forensics or maybe other digital device forensics, wherein the cycle of new OS launches is at best around every 2 years or on an average 1 year. So this is again a unique challenge when we do forensic examination. So as I said, right, in computer forensics, there are only 3 major operating systems: Windows, then Mac OS, and Linux, right? There are a variety of flavors which are out there, but still it is not that fragmented. Some of the basics are same. But if you look at mobile forensics, here are some of the companies, right? But there are thousands and thousands of manufacturers throughout the world wherein they have different devices which are manufactured by them, and at the same time in most cases you have Android as an operating system, or for Apple you have iOS as an operating system, but there are so many variations in terms of new devices which are coming in, and you have variety of operating systems which are also customized, so that also poses a challenge. So again, some history of mobile forensics. This is something which started around 2002. The name mobile forensics was not there, but we started collecting digital devices including phones, SIM cards, the GPS information, as well as mobile modems, wherein using the SIM card, right, we used to able to connect data and things like that. So this is something which started happening after 2002. The maturity happened post 2015, I would say, wherein we had most of the smartphones which were there. And this field is still evolving in terms of a lot of new things which are happening. So whenever you try to look for evidence in mobile phones, it could be categorized into 3 categories, which is generally followed by all investigating agencies. First is they try to collect billing history in a way. They try to find out the CDR for the relevant person, in a way how many calls were made, at what time those calls were made, to whom they called, what was their location when the call was made, and things like that. And they try to recreate some kind of digital footprint in a way, whether it is close to the crime scene and things like that. Same is the extension of cell site analysis, wherein if the crime happened at a particular location, using the modern techniques, right, we can actually find out who the people were at that location. Using cell site analysis, you can exactly find out their location, their numbers, and this data is used by law enforcement agencies in India to carry out a lot of different investigations. At times, this is a little time consuming, but this is getting better and better day by day. And third most important thing, which is very easy to do. So if you have an access to a mobile phone, you can actually do mobile forensics on that and try to collect a lot of information from that handset, so that you can maybe recreate the digital evidence and answer all the questions: who, what, how, when, why, so that we are able to prosecute that person in court of law. So again, mobile devices have a lot of different places where data is stored. One is the read-only memory, which is called as EEPROM. Again, your operating system at times is stored in ROM, so which is also called as a non-volatile memory. So a lot of data doesn't change here, but at times you have a lot of evidence at this place. Second is you can have a SIM card, wherein in the SIM card you can have a lot of information in terms of contacts, SMS messages, right? Even the modern SIM cards have a lot of additional information in terms of mobile stations and things like that, which was not there in past. So again, SIM card forensics is something which is very, very predominantly done when we do any mobile phone investigation. So in a phone, you can look at the evidence at 3 locations primarily. One is your SIM card, as I was talking about, SIM card forensics. Second is handset. So in this handset, you can have your EEPROM, RAM, right, a memory card. So basically, all these 3 locations can have a lot of wealth of information. So most of the data these days could be in your handset memory as well as memory card, and that is what we look at when we carry out mobile forensics investigation. So some of the examples of data is we can have contacts, call records, text messages, multimedia messages, some of the drafts messages, which could be again useful in some cases wherein the message was not sent. It could be an email draft or maybe SMS draft. More importantly, pictures, audio clips, video clips, email and browser history. This is something which is predominantly useful in all mobile forensics investigation. In case of corporate mobile forensics investigation, we also look at tasks, notes, calendar, right? So that we can recreate the timeline in a way if certain person was in a meeting, right, when something was happening and things like that. Again, application files, this also contain a lot of information depending upon what kind of application it is. They also contain different kind of information. And more importantly, maps, GPS location. This is something we look at all the time, right, so that we can recreate the evidence. And for creating the timeline, we use all the time and dates. So this is something a very, very important thing what we always look at. Again, there are a variety of extraction methodologies depending upon what kind of evidence you are trying to collect. So in the traditional mobile forensics, we used to have a cable or Bluetooth pairing happening, including infrared. These were the old purpose used to communicate with mobile devices. But if you look at the new modern smartphones which are out there, in most cases we connect them using a cable, and we are able to uncover most of the evidence out of those. Another technique which comes under hardware forensics is called as a chip-off technique. So as I showed in the previous slide here, right? So you can remove this chip, right, and you can mount it on another handset, fresh handset, and we call it as a chip-off technique, right, using which we can still uncover a lot of evidence. So even if the phone is burnt, if the chip is still intact, we can still get a lot of evidence from there. So a lot of deleted data can be still found. So that includes SMS, call logs, all the system files, application files. This can be all which can be easily collected. More importantly, a lot of you might not know, right? When you connect to Wi-Fi, you basically have your Wi-Fi name and password, which is also stored on your mobile phone. In most cases, it's very easy to find out what is the password of that Wi-Fi, as well as keyboard cache. When you're entering your credentials like username and password, it could be for your email account, it could be for your bank account. So in most cases, that data can be still uncovered using keyboard cache. App usage, this is something again very, very common. We can look at what app was used, when it was used, and things like that, depending upon what kind of crime we are trying to investigate. So here is an example of a Wi-Fi connection wherein we can get to know, right, what device was connected using the MAC, what was the location, right, and things like that, and what device was connected. So this is something which is very, very useful, right, to recreate using the Wi-Fi MAC address, where the user was when this application was used or this device was used, and maybe we can recreate the crime scene in most cases. Another example is GPS coordinates. So this is again very, very useful. So in most cases, we are able to recreate in a way where the person visited, right, using the device information. And we can put that on a map and just to see where the crime happened and where the user was when the crime was happening. So that is another example. Internet usage, what sites were visited, right? What was the page title, how many times it was visited, and things like that. This information is very easily we are able to collect. What browser it was. And as I said, keyboard cache. So very easily we can find out what were the passwords which were entered using the keyboard cache. A lot of people ignore this fact. And when we do investigation, first thing is we look at this keyboard cache and maybe the cache key which is available on the relevant devices, using which we are able to again access some of the cloud providers like Dropbox, Gmail, and we are able to uncover a lot of that evidence in most cases. Here is an example of app usage, in a way what app was used, at what time it was used, how many times it was used, and things like that. Again, a lot of us think that if a phone is broken, right, as you can see in the screen, that means the data on that phone is gone. We cannot uncover that. So as I talked about the technique called as chip-off technique, again, for phones like what you are seeing on your screen, we are able to uncover, in most cases, all of the evidence using hardware forensic techniques which are out there. So that's what involves the chip-off technique. So on the smartphone, you look at the primary chip where the data is, and that's what is called as physical recovery or hardware forensics. So we remove this chip and we mount it on another hardware, and we are able to again collect all the data. Again, a lot of us are aware that there are various malwares and spywares which are out there, right? So a lot of you might not know that your phone is infected with a malware and spyware. And this generally happens when you install a new application, wherein with that, as an add-on, they involve this, they install this malware and spyware. So very recently, a lot of you might not, might be knowing, right, that Government of India banned a lot of Chinese apps. And the reason behind banning those Chinese apps were the concept of them collecting data about us, which could be misused against our country. And that's why most of these apps are banned, because they're collecting information what they're not supposed to. So my request to all of you is, whenever you are installing a new app, look at what kind of permissions they are asking for, and at the same time, try to look through all the permissions and keep a tab on what kind of permissions an app is asking. So if there is an app, it doesn't need access to your contact or maybe your photos, and it is asking for that, that means there is something fishy there, and we should avoid giving that kind of permission, and ideally avoid using those apps on your phone. So again, there are various vulnerabilities mobile phones have. So one is interception, wherein a phone, whatever things you are doing, right, in terms of your communication which is happening. So you're sending an email, you're talking on phone, you're sending an SMS, all that can be intercepted in a way. Whatever message you send, it could be recreated, and the person who is trying to snoop on you, he is going to have that intercepted message available with them. And it's very easy to do that using the Trojan horses, malwares, which can be easily installed on those phones. Second thing is monitoring. In a way, this is something very common. This is what happens in case of happened in case of Jeb Bezos, right, wherein his phone was hacked and they were monitoring in a way what he is doing, where he is going, right, and maybe all the personal thing what he was doing on his mobile phone. So this is again something which is very harmful depending upon who you are and what kind of things you do on your phone. And more importantly, you have a role of command and control, wherein as a hacker, I have a central location in most cases that is built using artificial intelligence and machine learning in a more automated way, wherein everything which is being done on mobile phones, thousands and millions of mobile phones which are out there, is controlled by this command and control in a more autonomous way without human involvement. So these command and controls techniques are getting more and more sophisticated these days. So what is happening in most cases, the person who created the original malware, that malware has capability at times to maybe mutate or modify itself to come up with a new version without even the creator getting involved. And the creator of that malware is still able to control such malware using command and control and get the benefits out of that. So things are getting more and more scarier in terms of the vulnerabilities which are out there. So in interception, we can have three types of interceptions. One is network interception, wherein whatever calls you're doing, they could be intercepted as shown in this diagram, wherein you're talking from one phone to the other phone. The person who is in between, he is able to snoop in on all the live communication which is happening. And this is at the protocol level, in a way, when the transmission is happening from the cell phone of the user to the cell phone tower to the other cell phone tower. So there are a lot of devices available using which this can be done. Second is we can have off-air, which is more like a passive interception, wherein you can look at the device communication which is happening, which is not on air, as you can see in the first case, which is network based, wherein you try to look at some passive ways to do the interception. And third, as I said, you can have a spyware installed on the phone. In a way, whatever you're talking, automatically through your internet connection, the person is able to exactly hear what you're doing. Your camera could be monitored, your audio could be monitored, and they can basically hear everything what you're doing. Again, in terms of monitoring, once you have the command control in place, we can monitor the app usage, what apps are using, at what time you're using, what are your passwords and things like that. Again, for this, we have a variety of malwares and spywares available. In the underground community, a lot of these malwares and spywares are available maybe at a very cheap cost in few $100s, and people are misusing it to maybe create this monitoring on a target wherein they want to carry out this some kind of activity, right, which they want to do as a cyber criminal. And more importantly, through this monitoring, they're collecting a lot of different information. Again, this command and control is bot based, as I was saying. You can escalate your account, right? And at the same time, we can have various guest accounts. So using these bots and command and control, we can escalate privileges and convert a normal account or a guest account to become an admin account, which can basically do everything. At the same time, these bots are used for driving traffic to certain websites, or maybe they might make you sign up for certain paid subscriptions and things like that, which you don't want to. And they ultimately indirectly get paid through that. So this is becoming more and more sophisticated in terms of the attack vectors which are out there. So again, there are variety of malwares. There are various types of malwares which are out there. There are various types of social engineering techniques using which the malware deployment is happening. So maybe two broad techniques which we all should know is, first is called as 11.1, which is called as a physical deployment, wherein somebody has got access to your mobile phone, and since they have access to the phone, they're able to deploy the malware on your phone. And level 2 is social engineering through phishing, wherein, as I earlier said, I can send you a WhatsApp message with a link, I can send you an email, I can send you a document, you click on that or you open that document, right? You are automatically deploying that malware on your phone. So that's why it's important that we protect our mobile phones, and we should not maybe have these devices out of our sight, even if it could be our friends or anyone who could be in our public domain. And for social engineering, for protecting ourselves from phishing attacks, it's imperative and important that we are taking all the precautionary measures in a way which is not known to us. We should avoid opening, avoid clicking in most cases. So if you're using WhatsApp, you should have a default setting wherein you should have download files disabled, so that you are not downloading something on its own and your device could be compromised. In most cases, if you have automatically gets downloaded, it can even compromise your phone without even opening that zip file. So those are the common techniques which are used by most of the hackers. So in case of physical access, so people use a flash disk or link to a web download, or they can override user privileges and they download that malware on your phone. Again, social engineering involves web downloads, wherein you are downloading a game. Along with that game, a malware gets installed. They'll also have some kind of Trojan horse along with a banking app if you're not downloading the app from the primary source from where it is required to be done. So basically, in social engineering techniques, they look at compromising our weaknesses. So in case of cybersecurity, humans are the weakest link. So they try to take our human nature and turn it against us. So they'll send you something which is very, very interesting, image which looks very interesting, and you'll click on that, a document or a link which would be created in a way that you'll be forced to open it. And if you're forced to open it and you open it, you ultimately get infected because of that. Again, there are a variety of malwares. So example is some malwares can be designed to exploit the security. They can trigger data cost. So in some cases, there are certain countries, if you call on certain special numbers, you need to pay a premium charge. So that is what these malwares try to do. You won't know that you are calling certain numbers, right? But the malware is going to do it from your phone and you'll get charged for that in case you have a postpaid number or a prepaid number. This is something which is very, very prevalent. Accelerating certain user privileges so that they can do better monitoring on certain apps. Again, attacks. So what hackers do is they control a lot of computers and mobile phones remotely, and they can do maybe Bitcoin mining without you knowing that your phone's resources are used for doing Bitcoin mining. That is just one example. Even they can have some kind of software installed on your phone as a malware, which could drive some of the revenues for them in terms of adwares and other stuff. So if that cybercrime is investigated, indirectly you are also part of that crime. In a way, your device is being used without your knowledge for carrying out that crime. Again, more importantly, in most cases, these malwares allow remote control of the device. So the person who is having the command and control using the malware, they can basically do anything on your phone. They can go into any app, they can log into your bank account, carry out a transaction on your behalf without even you knowing about that. Next category is apart from malware is called as spyware. So their job is to collect information about you. So they are therefore deployed for compromising your information, doing interception and monitoring, collect all kind of communication data what you have. More importantly, collect credentials like OTP, information for financial transactions, where you have two-factor authentication, and password reset information, right? So most of the times you have a link coming in as an email or maybe as an SMS. So these spywares help you collect that information, and then the cyber criminal is able to do certain things using these spywares, which is harmful against you. So most of these malwares and spywares can be easily detected. So maybe I come across question all the time, right? How to find out whether my phone is infected with a malware or spyware. So some of the common things using which we can track this is mentioned on this slide. First is do some kind of behavior analysis of your device. Look at your battery usage, in a way, what apps are using most of the battery. Look at your data usage, in a way, what apps are using how much data. And if you see something wrong there, that means you have your device infected with a malware or a spyware. Again, you should have proper app identification and logging happening, wherein you should look at your apps, what kind of data they are storing, what kind of data you're receiving through the app, what kind of data you're sending through the app. Again, more importantly, we should have some kind of content management tools installed, using which we can do better investigation, in a way, how the device is being used, what data is being used, where data is being stored, right? Again, you should put in a lot of security policies just to see and make it difficult for the hackers to get into your phone. And keep monitoring your system files. If you see something unusual, that means you have a malware or spyware on your phone. So that's my general advice in terms of identifying whether you're infected or not. There are a lot of challenges when we do mobile forensics or mobile forensics investigation. So first, one of the primary challenges is, since we are getting into more enterprise mode, more especially as a work from home mode, right? For COVID situation, all the corporates have a policy of BYOD, right? So a lot of corporate data is also getting stored on mobile devices. Again, as I said, different devices have different operating system, different configuration. So it becomes more difficult. If you look at the operating systems of computers, there are 4 or 5 different flavors. But if you look at mobile devices, at any given point of time, there could be at least 300 or 400 flavors of different operating systems which are out there. We cannot use single detection methodology or collection methodology when we are doing mobile forensics. You need to use combination of different mobile forensic techniques before we can collect the data. At the same time, it's very difficult to monitor, in a way, what device is part of what kind of network, whether it is a Wi-Fi, cell phone network, because the device is mobile, right? You can go from one location to other location in very small amount of time. And again, at times, these mobile devices have very less alert functionality. So we generally install apps from trusted sources. But if we don't do that, right, we will not come to know, right, in a way, if something is wrong. So these days, Apple as well as Android is putting in a lot of security mechanism in place wherein they see anything unusual in the app, they ban those apps from their Play stores and iTunes App Store so that the security of the users is not compromised. Again, my advice would be if you come across issues related to cell phone forensics, don't go to shops like these, right? Or maybe don't go for even repairing your phones to shops like these, because you never know, right? You might be compromising your personally identifiable data, right? Wherein people think that, okay, they're getting things done at a cheaper rate, but ultimately you might be compromising certain things which might go against what is required to be done. So always consult the experts so that you're not maybe compromising anything which is going to be important for you. So what should be the defense strategy, right? This is another question which I come across most of the time, right? So on your mobile phone, always look at the user privileges. Only have one or two types of user accounts. What could be your primary account, which is an admin account, and create multiple guest accounts. So when you don't need admin accounts, try to always use guest accounts so that your device cannot be compromised. Only install apps from trusted sources. Look at the user ratings in a way, whether they have seen something unusual. Try to look at the reviews and things like that. More importantly, have some kind of physical security of the device. So as you can see here, right, the mobile phone, assume as if it is behind a lock and chain all the time so that you're not parting ways from your phone. Don't keep it unattended. Keep on always reviewing your data usage. This is very, very important. Look at which apps are being used, what data they're using, how much data they're using, and things like that. The two technical terms which we always come across in Android as well as iOS parlance is rooting and jailbreaking. So my recommendation is, for doing certain things, we should not never do rooting or jailbreaking on the relevant mobile devices. If you do that, you're compromising security of your device for saving some money or maybe doing certain things which might benefit you in the short term, but you're compromising on your security. More importantly, keep on updating your mobile software. Every month you see a new version of security update coming in. Please ensure that you always install the newer version. If you have an old device which is unsupported with an operating system or security update is discontinued, stop using it. Otherwise, your device can be easily compromised. More importantly, try to have antivirus and anti-malwares installed. Due to maybe I can't endorse any company. There are good antivirus softwares available. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. So my request would be to look at user reviews and know that. So it's very important that we all remember that our cell phone is a device that contains our own personal information. So it's our responsibility that we keep it safe and secure so that cyber criminals are not using that against us. Again, there are a variety of extraction methodologies as far as mobile forensics goes. So in this slide, I have maybe mentioned that one is logical analysis, second is physical analysis. So in logical analysis, cell phone is connected to a computer or a laptop with relevant mobile forensics application, and you collect all the evidence. In physical analysis, you create a hex dump of the memory card, or maybe you remove the chip, right, a memory chip, and then you use a special hardware to do the extraction on that. So logical is more like you ask the permission to get inside a room or maybe inside a home of a particular person and collect all the information. Physical evidence is more like you have a warrant, right, and you can basically do anything and everything what you want when you're extracting the data. So these are some of the ways using which logical analysis can be done. So some of the examples using which we can collect a lot of different evidence using logical analysis. So logical analysis gives you speed and maybe almost all the information can be collected. Physical analysis is very difficult if you look at collecting the evidence, because almost all the data is in hexadecimal format. You have gigabytes and terabytes of data available even on mobile phones these days. So it becomes very, very difficult to look through all the hex values, right, and maybe come to a conclusion in a way where the evidence is. So in terms of complexity, manual examination is simplest, but equipment cost is low. You don't need any equipment as such. You can look at the phone, look at the evidence yourself. Logical analysis is little complex. Equipment cost is also little less. But if you go to physical analysis, the equipment cost is very high. At the same time, the complexity is also very high. Here is comparison between logical analysis and physical analysis. So one of the important advantage of physical analysis, all the information can be extracted. You basically get every bit and byte of data which is stored on that device. But in logical analysis, some information cannot be extracted, but this is the most prevalent methodology due to ease of use. So it is easy to perform, easy to analyze, and it's very affordable. So in most cases, I would say in 90% of the cases, we go for logical analysis. In only 10% of the cases, we go for physical analysis due to complexity and hardware cost. And the maybe the techniques are very, very hard to perform. The analysis is very hard to do. So that's where only experts who know physical analysis, they do this. Anyway, trying to solve any crime involving cell phone devices, this is the chain of custody, right? And that's how we do this. So we start with the logical analysis first. In most cases where I'm involved, I try to do on-site analysis using certain triage tools which are immediately available. And I can collect the crime data, right, on the spot as soon as you have the device in your hand. Then you take it to your lab and carry out the logical analysis, physical analysis, and ultimately you present your case in court of law so that the person who has done the crime could be prosecuted in court of law. So here are some of the steps we should be followed when you are trying to collect the digital evidence. So we should always look for carrying all the necessary equipment, right? When you are going to the crime scene, try to look for the legal authority, whether we can collect the phone or the digital devices or not. Again, all the people, right, who are at the crime scene, they should be removed. It is generally, we take a lot of photographs when we are collecting this so that we can recreate the scene in a way how those devices were collected, what procedures were followed and things like that. If the criminal is cooperative, we should try to collect their phone numbers, passcode and pins from them. If people are cooperative, in most cases they share that with us. If they don't share it, we have a lot of tools using which we can even get past the passcodes and pins and things like that very easily. In some cases, it is recommended that you should turn off the phone and as well as remove the battery. But if you do that, you might lose the volatile data on that phone. So instead of that, we use a Faraday cage or maybe some kind of mechanism using which the phone can be prevented to be connected from network devices, using which the data could be remotely wiped out, right? So to prevent that from happening, we use Faraday cage and other techniques wherein the phone stays on, but it is disconnected from the network so that the data cannot be remotely wiped out. So here is the framework which I developed as part of my PhD research. So it has various stages in terms of doing the investigation: intake phase, identification phase. So in the intake phase, you identify what kind of devices you have. You identify the devices in the identification phase. Based on what devices have been identified, in the preparation phase, you identify how you should carry out mobile forensics investigation on those devices. And before you carry out your processing, you isolate them from your network connections and things like that. And then you start your processing of collection of the evidence from the relevant devices. When you do that, you need to ensure that the data, while it is being collected, the evidence should not be compromised. So for that, you need to have a verification step wherein you compare the hash values before and after copying the evidence from the digital devices. And once the data is collected and verified, you do documentation and reporting in a way what evidence you have found out concerning the crime which has happened, and you present that evidence in court of law. And it is more important that you archive this evidence, because generally in country like India, the whole process, right, wherein you are investigating the crime, at times it takes anywhere from 3 months to 3 years. At the same time, when the prosecution happens, right, you never know. It takes more than 20 years at times to get the case completed and maybe the verdict comes out. So that's why you need to have the archived version available with you. So there are various seizing guides which are available in terms of what are the standards we should follow. So that is what is mentioned here. I'll highly recommend you to visit NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technology. You'll find a lot of standards in terms of mobile device standards where we are doing forensic investigation, what methods to follow. So this is something which is followed all over the world. There are still some guidelines which are lacking, but a lot of people are coming up with that. Again, another question which I generally get asked by all the people who attend my sessions: what are the various mobile forensics tools which are available? So on this slide, I'm mentioning some of the names. I'm not endorsing any of these tools, though I am working with most of these mobile forensics tools company directly or indirectly, depending upon my role for investigating some of the cases. So request would be you can go to their site. Most of these tools are available under free trial if they're commercial tools, and a lot of free tools available which anyone can go and download and they can start using. So my request would be to all the students, as a hacking project, right, and learning mobile forensics, at least you should download 3 or 4 tools, what you see on the screen, and maybe try to do investigation on your own phone and see what kind of deleted information you can uncover from there. So a lot of these tools are prominently used. This is just a partial list, which is predominantly used in most cases. There are more tools, more specialized tools what we use when we do complex investigations. So again, just to see the audience engagement in terms of this webinar, right? So maybe I would like some of the students to answer, right? Some of the questions what you see on the screen. So how you can find out, is my phone bugged? Can we find that out? Is it possible to find that out? If you know the answer, which is covered in this session, please type it in the chat. How to find out whether my phone is bugged? There is some kind of spyware or malware installed on it. Okay, anyone to get the bragging rights? How I can find out if my phone is bugged or there is some kind of adware or spyware installed there? Okay, I'm seeing some good answers here. Devanshu, thanks for taking the lead. Suspicious behavior, very good. Any suspicious things? Okay, how to find out suspicious things? Just to refine that question. So as I said earlier, right, we should keep looking for battery usage, data usage, right, and things like that, so that any pop-ups, as Devanshu said, so anything unusual, right, and anything which is not a normal thing, what you see on your phone, using that we can find that out. So that was the first question. Second is, how can I find, right, whether I'm being tracked? So it's again on the similar line, right? You can look at what apps you have on your phone and what kind of permissions they have. In a way, an app should not have access to your GPS or location information, and it is asking for that. An app is collecting information from your photos or gallery, right? So that is an early sign in a way that you are being monitored, you are being tracked, and some of the apps are collecting information about you. Same thing, can I tell if my mobile phone is bugged, right? So it is a variation of the first question. You can surely tell based on the something suspicious on your phone. You can easily find out. Next question, can you recover deleted messages and data from your phone? Requesting all the students to type, is it possible to recover the deleted data? Yes or no? If yes, how we can do that? Okay, again, Devanshu, yes, that's a correct answer. We can uncover the deleted data from the phone, and there are various mobile forensic tools and techniques available using which we can do that. Okay, most important question, what is the safest phone in terms of defense against spyware? Is there any special phone which is available in terms of spywares? Are you aware about the most safe phone in the world? If you have that phone, you are going to be 100% prevented from spyware. If you want to guess there. Okay, a very interesting answer from Varad. Keypad phones. So what I'm assuming is these are like the old conventional non-smartphones which only have option to do calling, wherein you can just dial the number and talk to the person. So that is one answer, very good answer. We still have some mechanisms using which you can get some evidence from those phones as well. But since they don't contain a lot of information like your conventional smartphones, they have very little information about you and you are protected. So even I personally use a phone like that, right? Just for doing talking, right? If I wanted to be prevented from getting spied. Okay. Some people said without location Nokia, right? I heard, I'm reading here, right? In a way, Devanshu said there is a phone built by John McAfee, right? That is safe. So a lot of people are attempting to build a phone which is going to be safe. But I'm going to quote somebody who is called as father of cybersecurity, right? Or maybe father of digital forensics. His name is Professor Gene Spafford. We should go and look it up about him on Google. And he is associated with Purdue University. I have been fortunate to have him as my mentor, and maybe even I have interacted with him at a lot of different forums. At the same time, we were speakers at one of the global conferences in year 2010 in UAE, right? Where he was one of the speakers there, and I was also one of the speakers. So what he says about any digital device, right? If you have a digital device that is going to be susceptible to any kind of cybercrime, you cannot prevent any digital device as on today to be 100% safe. It is just a mindset, right? What kind of security mechanism you can have in place. So only thing is you can have as many security precautions taken till the time people don't find a loophole in the existing precautions what you have taken. And that's what we call it as a 0-day vulnerability or a 0-second vulnerability and things like that. So I hope that gives you some insights in terms of how to stay safest. So no phone is safe, but you can take a lot of precautions as I earlier covered, right? In terms of having your phone up to date, take a physical security into mind, keep the physical security into mind, keep it safe all the times and things like that. So just to conclude, we are still evolving with a lot of mobile forensic standards and practices. A lot of adoption is happening this side. A lot of tools are still unreliable. Investigation is still going on that side. That's where bodies like NIST has something called as tool testing, wherein they use variety of tools to do the same investigation and ensure that whether we are getting repeatable results or not. When we do investigations, it's important that we document so that we are ensuring that whatever we are doing, right, it is according to the standards. And we are not compromising on the evidence. I have generally come across many places, especially in Indian judiciary, wherein somebody who is trying to defend a criminal, they have come up with ways and means to convince the judge that in a way that, okay, what evidence is being presented, it is not acceptable in court of law and it could be spoofed. And people in judiciary are not that technical. So it's very easy to maybe at times make them believe, right, what the defense lawyer is saying. So that is something, again, we may need to keep in mind. And that's why we should have ways and means using which these documented things can prove what we're claiming is right and maybe what the defense lawyer is going to say is not right and things like that. And more importantly, we all need to remember that mobile forensics is a tug of war between digital investigators as well as anti-forensic researchers. They're going to be always looking for ways and means wherein they want to hide what they're doing as criminals. And as an investigator, we need to uncover that evidence and maybe prosecute them in court of law. And this field, as I was requesting a lot of you, has a lot of computer science involved into this. So whatever you learn in your 4 years, right, you can use that when you get into this field, like understanding algorithms, understanding all the operating system internals, databases, how the computing works at an architecture level, at the microprocessor level, and things like that. So if you apply the basics, you can become a good investigator. So just to summarize, I would like to first of all thank the organizer for inviting me for this webinar, and I would like to quote our beloved ex-president Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. So he said, "Excellence is a continuous process and not an accident." So why I'm quoting him here is I want our country and our beloved nation India to become great, and that's where all the young minds who are attending this session could come into play. So a lot of you could see a lot of opportunities which are there, more specifically in cybersecurity and mobile forensics, right? So I request all of you to look into this, right, and maybe make your career here, because right now we are too dependent on our more advanced countries like USA, maybe possibly Israel, Russia, right, to provide these tools. There are very few companies in India who have got their own innovative products. Though government of India is putting in a lot of efforts, we even have our own cyber forensics and cyber security team who are developing their own apps and solutions, but we are still way behind, right? So a lot of you can come and maybe contribute to this field. And that's why I say believe in your vision and maybe realize your potential by fulfilling the dreams what you have. So I'm sharing my LinkedIn as well as Twitter profile here, so you can connect with me via LinkedIn, and maybe anywhere you need help, you need career guidance, or if you have any questions, you can connect with me on these platforms, and I'll try and help you and guide you as much as possible. Of your college for giving me this opportunity, and I can take any questions what you may have right now.
Thank you, sir, for such wonderful session. Now is the time for question and session answers. Students can post their questions in chat box.
Okay, yeah, this is that opportunity you all have to ask any questions you have. If you think you don't have the questions now, I can take those questions offline as well using LinkedIn or maybe Twitter, whatever works for you guys. Okay, I see a question from Siddhi Ghate. So Siddhi is asking, what is the scope of mobile forensics in India? So Siddhi, this is a very important question. As I tried to highlight in my session today, mobile devices are, very, very ubiquitous in nature. Everyone is having a lot of personal information involved. And what is happening these days is these mobile devices are either used for carrying out crimes. At the same time, users are being subjected to some of the crimes, as I said. So there is huge potential, because what I'm seeing is any physical crime which is happening these days, all the law enforcement agencies are trying to even collect the digital devices, more importantly mobile phones. And what is happening is most of the law enforcement agencies have limited people who are trained in this field. So I'm not sure if you know, at times, depending upon the case, it takes anywhere from 3 months to a year just to carry out investigation or mobile forensic investigation on a single device. And why that is the limitation is because there are very less people who are available. There are very less laboratories which are available where the mobile forensic investigation can be done. This is slowly changing, especially in states like Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, as well as Telangana, Delhi, right? They're coming up and establishing cybercrime cells at all district levels with a facility of doing these investigation and setting up these laboratories at district level. And that's where you all can have a big career, right? Wherein you can contribute as a mobile forensic investigation. So there is huge demand. So you need to just bring in that specialized skill so that you can be part of the law enforcement as well as private investigative agencies who are involved in solving those crimes.
Yes, sir. And our next question is, what skills are required for career in mobile forensics?
Okay, that's again a very important question. So as I shared during my presentation, right? So you need to have maybe good understanding of computer science, as I'm showing on my screen again, right? You need to understand how files are stored on a mobile phone, what are the different algorithms, right, which come into picture, right, when the data sets are there. So example is every file has a unique format, right, in terms of a header and footer. So you should be able to understand that. You should be able to look at databases and other stuff, right? So considering that, it's important that we have that understanding, right, on that side. So in terms of skills, you need to have good understanding of the basics of computer science, how encryption works, how file system works, how operating system works, and things like that. At the same time, you should have good understanding of some of the hacking techniques, right, wherein you should understand some of the other stuff, right, which is not normally taught during your computer science stream, right? And ultimately, you should also have understanding of law, cyber laws more specifically, so that you are aware.
Yes, sir. By moving second question, Vinayak wants to know that any way to save all data, because today in this era, nothing is safe, anything can be hacked.
So that's a very, very important question, right? No data is safe, as I quoted Professor Gene Spafford, right? So he said the same thing, right? No digital data is safe, or no digital system is safe. So what you need to do is you need to put in security mechanisms, right, as much as possible, so that you make it difficult for the person to get to the data. So example could be like, okay, you can have an encryption of the data, right, while it is being transmitted from one place to the other place. So example is you should always use VPN when you visit a site, right? It should be always HTTPS. That is one example. So if you're storing data at rest, be it your database, be it your files, you should have it encrypted as much as possible. So those are some of the general techniques, right, which are used. At the same time, if you have some data which is very, very confidential for you, so you should not store it on a connected system. Maybe you can take a offline backup of that in a pen drive or a hard drive, and maybe store it inside a physically secure location, so that the data or hacker cannot get that data very easily through online system, which is getting very, very difficult these days, because all our financial systems, all our data is in most cases in some kind of private or public cloud. But depending upon what kind of data you have, you can take different measures so that you can secure the data.
Yes, Devanshu wants to know that which companies usually hire the mobile forensics?
That's a very good question. Most of these companies are multinational companies. So you must have heard about Big Four consulting companies. So I'm not endorsing anyone in my personal capacity, but you can look for all of them. So example could be Ernst & Young, Deloitte, I can go on. So they have very, very dedicated forensic investigation teams. And in most cases, when they hire people, right, they are placed at a very, very good location in terms of cities in India, as well as their client location. So I know a lot of people who are part of their teams, and they're doing phenomenally well, right, in terms of their profile. Again, the kind of package what they get while they work as part of these companies. Again, there are certain mid-sized companies also in India who do provide these opportunities to students like you. So maybe somebody can connect with me offline, right? So I can't share the names. Maybe on a public forum, you can connect with me offline, and I can share those names with you as much as possible.
Next question is, all the devices are being synchronized to IoT, so it can easily be hacked.
That's correct. Yes. So IoT is something which is going to impact all of us. I have written a lot of articles as well on IoT security, right? So if you search with my name and write IoT security, you might find those articles online. Even in fact, 2 years back, we had a sync flooding attack due to which all big sites like Twitter, even our browsers and all digital sites, maybe they were brought down. And one of the primary reasons was most of these IoT devices which are having less security, right? They were compromised by these hackers, and they have implemented a more organized sync flooding attack on a variety of IT infrastructure which was in place. So there is a lot of research going on how to make these IoT devices more secure. There are a lot of protocols which has been added in recent past. So my request would be to look for my article online. At the same time, if you are involved in any kind of IoT project, try to incorporate a security by design, right? Not an after work, right? Into the product is into mature phase. That is another advice what I would give here.
Jenny wants to ask that, what are the challenges that mobile forensic investigators face, especially in developing countries?
So one of the biggest challenges is, I would say, the diversity of devices what we have. And as I said earlier, right, we only have limited people who have this knowledge, and we have limited resources, right? So example could be, I have one terminal to do a mobile forensic investigation and one investigator. So generally, if I am doing investigation on a normal smartphone, which is having around 32 GB of data, as an example, so it takes anywhere from 1 day to 10 days in terms of what kind of data you are collecting. So on an average, the time of collecting logical evidence can be anywhere from 3 to 4 hours, depending upon how much data you are collecting. So the speed at which the data can be collected, right, or the evidence can be collected from these devices, that is one of the biggest challenge. Second is, maybe since we have a lot of fragmentation in devices, having all the tools available with you to do investigation on all the different types of devices is something which is very, very challenging again, because we have a lot of device fragmentation which is there.
Next question is, using VPN, any secure as said by the VPN provider? So if you are taking this VPN solution from somebody legitimate, then definitely it's something which can protect you, because a lot of you might not have seen this, but there are a lot of even online series available on Netflix and other platforms, right, wherein even if you use your browser, right, and on that browser you're visiting different websites, basically everything is getting tracked about you, right? What site you're visiting, what information you're looking at, what videos you're clicking, and things like that. So if you want to prevent that from happening, one of the simplest techniques is go to an incognito mode or a private mode, right? So that you're not getting tracked. And more importantly, using VPN so that your location information is not getting tracked. So that is something which I would recommend. I won't name any provider, VPN provider, personally, because I don't want to endorse one or two providers. If you go on website, you'll find some of the prominent providers, right? Search on Google, right? Best and safest VPN providers. You'll get top 3 or 4 providers which are out there. Yes, sir. If anyone wants to share their thoughts, please feel free to unmute yourself.
I would like to thank Rizwan sir for a very informative webinar on mobile forensics, which helped me to have a clear idea of what digital forensic is about. how the data is still present in our devices, digital crimes that are being performed, and also its investigation techniques that are being used, and also for guiding us towards career opportunities in this field as a computer engineering student. So thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thanks for inviting me. Thanks to the organizers, especially head of computer department, then vice principal of the college, and thanks for making it interactive, right, in terms of all the questions. I really enjoyed this webinar session, considering all the questions towards the end. And Vinayak, just to respond to your comment, incognito mode is not safe. ISPs are still able to track your information. You're really right about that. This is to just prevent the different sites like Facebook and others to track your information. So maybe if you have VPN, then in that case it becomes little difficult for ISPs to track you, but that is again 100% not 100% safe. As I said during my webinar, there is always ways and means using which people can be traced back. That is always possible.
Thank you, sir. Now I would request Ms. Siddhi Ghate to propose a vote of thanks for today's session. Over to you, Siddhi.
Thank you, Anushree. Good evening, all. On behalf of the ACES team, our college dignitaries, students, and myself, I would extend a hearty vote of thanks to our speaker, Dr. Rizwan Ahmed, for sharing his expertise on mobile forensics with us. We learned the need of mobile forensics and how it is implemented, and the challenges and the opportunities which come with it. I would like to thank our principal, Dr. Prashant Deshmukh, Vice Principal, Professor Megha Gupta, Head of Department of Computer Engineering, and ACES Head Dr. Sanjay Sharma, ACES Faculty Coordinator, Professor Ahmed Javed, and to organize the event, Professor Rishikesh Nikam, and the Faculty of Computer Engineering Department for giving us the opportunity to conduct this webinar. I would also thank all the faculty members who have taken out the time to attend the webinar. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the students who have attended today's event enthusiastically. With these warm words, we move to end of today's webinar. Please fill the feedback form mentioned in the description. Thank you all. Have a productive day ahead.
Hello.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Rizwan, sir.
Rizwan, sir. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, please.
Sir, on behalf of our entire college, I would like to thank you. Your presentation was terrific, sir. It was really terrific. So we would definitely like to invite you for some further sessions in the times to come, sir.
Sure, sir.
बेटर ये होगा कि आप ही कभी जैसे ये पेंडेमिक का सब साफ होता है, that time we'll definitely like to welcome you physically, sir.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Looking forward for that. Yes.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, students.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, students. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Rishikesh.
Thank you, sir.